Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Today we are going to start with the new topic, and that is criticism. The name of the writer is John Ransom. We will certainly learn that what are the new trends in criticism which were introduced by John Ransom. In the opening of his point of view, John Ransom tells us that what is the difference between a critic and layman. So over here, he starts his point of view with these words. It is strange, but nobody seems to have told us what exactly is the proper business of criticism. It means that uh, there is a lack of people who may define criticism. There are many critics who might tell us, but the most part, they are laypersons. It means that they are common people and they are no more critics. In other words, we can say that criticism has been taken as a means simply to find faults from the piece of literature and etc. But in fact, criticism is also the way how to appreciate the work of others. So have the critics nearly always been amateurs. It means that laymen, including the best ones. There are certainly best people in criticism. They have not been trained to criticism so much as they have simply undertaken a job for which no specific qualification were required. It means that to become a critic is means not not such type of thing which require lot of qualification on the part of critics. It is far too likely that what they call criticism, when they produce, it is not the real thing. It means that in criticism, what happens that when critics express their point of view, then in fact, they don't copy down the material, but come up with entirely new ideas. There are three sorts of trend performers who would appear to have some of the competence that critic needs. It means that we have also certain type of people who are trained one. In other words, we can say that he has divided critics into three groups on the basis of their competence. The first is the artist himself. It means that the artist is the first one who is critic himself. He should know good art when he sees it. But his understanding is intuitive rather than dialectical. He cannot very well explain his theory of things. It is true that literary artists, with their command of language, are better critics of their own art than are other artists. Probably best critics of poetry we can now have are the poets. But one can well imagine that any artist's commentary on the artwork is valuable in the degree that he sticks to his technical effects, which he knows minutely and about which he can certainly talk if he will. We now see in this paragraph we have come to know that who should be a critic or what are the duties of critic or what is the competency of critic. Critic is the person or critic is a man who should be well aware not of the language or techniques of language, but he must be able to uh, produce are able to receive and produce such type of philosophy that may appeal readers or listeners. So this is the duty of artist. And when we say artist, it does not mean that artist is limited to only those people who are involved in work of art by especially in painting and architecture, other things, and etc. But poet is also artist. And the second is the philosopher. Philosopher in the sense that these are the people who are well aware of the criticism. The second is philosopher who should know all about the function of the time, function of the fine arts. But the philosopher is apt to see a lot of wood, no trees. It means that philosophers certainly have uh, the broad means ideas of the things. They don't only focus their attention towards the particular things or individual things, but they always look at the things means as a whole. For his theory is very general, and his acquaintance with the particular work of art is not persistent and intimate, especially his acquaintance with their technical effects. It means that philosophers go into the deep of the things in order to understand the technical effects of the things. Or at least, I suppose, I mean that means Ransom himself. For philosophers have not proved that they can write close criticism by writing it. So philosophers are not means confined to writings only. And I have the feelings that even their handsome generalization are open to suspicion as being grounded more on other general, generalizations. It means that they generalize the things, those which from their prior philosophical stock, than on acute study of particulars. So they overall it means that they have means ability to generalize the things. Okay, so that's why they are no more only confined to such type of stock of philosophy which they possess. The third is the university teacher of literature, who is styled professor and who should be the very professional we need to take charge of a critical activity. It means that the university professors are the most competent. Why? Because after learning a lot regarding the criticism or regarding the artists and philosophers, as they have gone through the philosophies and the work of art of others. So that's why now they're in a position to look at things critically or analytically. He's hardly inferior as critic to philosopher, and perhaps not on the whole to the poet, but he is greater disappointment because we have the right to expect more of him. It means that uh, uh, sometimes what happens when professors at the university level, who are the senior professors, when they means don't come up with the particular philosophies which they have inferred from the greatest work of art, then they always disappoint others. Professors of literature are learned, but not critical men. So professors are learned one, certainly learned. By learned, we mean that they have lot of knowledge, but they means. They sometimes are, they don't possess the means ability uh, of criticism. The professional morale of the part of the university staff is evidently low. It is as if, or with conscious or unconscious cunning, they had disappropriated every avenue of escape from their responsibility, which was decent and official. So, what happens over here, and that we have variety of people in uh, uh, in the boundary of university. So we have also professors and lower staff and guards and others and clerics and people who are working with administration and etc. So what happens that they when they are not ready to dispense their duties honestly and punctually, what happens that they always become the target of criticism. And this is very means a strange type of thing that over here throughout the world and since long means man is not ready to face the truth. So that's why whenever you even share constructive thoughts with others regarding their faults and follies, people will certainly disappoint you and they will not appreciate you. And this is the human nature. So that it is easy for one of them, without public reproach, to spend a lifetime in compiling the data of literature and yet rarely or never commit himself to literary judgment. It means that people means avoid judgment over here, and especially literary judgment. Now, see, in this world, it is quite difficult that to speak the truth or to express your point of view to others. Why? Because people are not ready to receive your even constructive type of ideas or constructive type of views or opinion for them or for the system. So this is the greatest hindrance in the way of criticism. And remember one thing, that criticism is always constructive and it is not destructive. Constructive in the sense that if we want to bring positive changes in society, then we will have to we will have to face we will have to face the truth, and we should not avoid it at any cost. Nevertheless, it is from the professors of literature in the country, the professors of English for the most part, that I should hope eventually for erection of intelligent standards of criticism. It is their business. It means that intelligent criticism that you are going to prepare means people for the future, and certainly when new body of knowledge or new ideas or new ways of life will be introduced by professors, then certainly it will enhance your intelligence, and it will also help you out in understanding the standards of criticism. And means here you will find the definition of criticism. Yes, criticism must become more scientific, are precise and systematic. And this means that it must be developed by collective and sustained effort of learned person, which means that its proper seat is in the universities. It means that universities are certainly places and where we acquire education, where we learn a lot, and whatever we are today, we are because of these alma maters. We are because of these educational institutions where all those intelligent people and all those competent professors, certainly in the light of their knowledge and their experience, guide us towards uh, uh, the positive avenue of life. So this was certainly general introduction of the same. Now here we have formalism. Formalism means new criticism. New criticism is a very different literary theory. It means that the writer John Grove Ransom introduced entirely a new theory of criticism. So let us see that what is this new theory that was introduced by John Grove Ransom in 20th century in America. And this is called the formalist movement, right? So this is about his age and years and etc. And his means introduction and how he was editor of the widely regarded Kenyan Review. And he certainly was an American educator, scholar, literary critic, poet, essayist, and editor. You will find that all these qualities had accumulated in one person. So that's why in 21st century, we are going to pay high tribute to such type of a scholar who has paved the way of criticism. He is considered to be a founder of the new criticism, school of literary criticism. So he uh, proved himself as a founder of the new criticism by taking pains on his part. It focuses on No, see, what is new criticism or formalism? It focuses on importance of close reading a piece of literature, mainly poetry, to understand how it functions as self-contained object. It means that criticism certainly leads us towards understanding of poetry. On the one hand, understanding of it and function of the poetry. It was created to show an alternative from literary analysis, with most generally focusing on this history of the author, the relations of the words to foreign or ancient language, as well as comparative sources, ignoring the aesthetics of the work altogether. So now see that criticism was certainly introduced apart from the aesthetic appeal, right? That for understanding it generally. With this form of literary analysis, some of the more important forms of literature were analyzed, right? New critics felt in order to bring the focus of literary studies back to the analysis of texts, elements such as reader's response, the author's intention, historical and cultural context, political context, moralistic bias should not be factored in analyzing the literature. It means that all these things must be put aside while uh, going through any part of literature and especially poetry. Essentially, with the closing reading, the reader will pay close attention to what is said and how it is written. So, what is said is related to the message that is being conveyed through the poetry, and how it is written. How it is written means that it is related to the technical side or the language of the poetry. For example, rhymes and metaphors and other things which are always kept into consideration while writing poetry. Such type of things are always kept into consideration by critics. Often initial capital letters, an approach to critical study of literature that concentrates on textual explications and rejects the historical and biographical study as irrelevant to an understanding of the total formal organization of the work. It means that we don't go back into the historical and biographical studies. Okay, especially the age in which the poetry was written and etc. But we focus our attention on two things, and one is the message of poet, and the other is that whether the diction has been properly, or the techniques of writing the poetry have been followed or not. It was frequently alleged that the new criticism treated literary text as a autonomous and diverse from historical context, and that its practitioners were uninterested in the human meaning, the social functions, and effect of literature. So, here, all these things have been put aside, and only one thing is focused, and that is the text. Sorry. Post World War One, a school of Anglo American literary critical theory that insisted on intrinsic, intrinsic value of work of art and focused attention to the individual work alone as an independent unit of meaning. It means that in those days, especially after the First World War, that was the criteria for criticism, or that was the temperament of man or the mood of man, that he simply focused attention on the individual work. Individual work means, or whatever work is before you. It was opposed to the critical practice of bringing historical or biographical data to bear on the interpretation of work. It means that uh, these things, biographical and historical type of things, were put aside. The primary techniques of employed in the new critical approach is close analytic reading of the text, a technique as old as Aristotle's Poetics. The new critics, however, introduce refinement into the methods. So now over here he has given the example of Poetics, and I know very well that all of you are well aware of the Poetics uh, that was put forward by Aristotle himself. But here, the new critical approach is different from Aristotle's Poetics. And over here, in new criticism, you will find a refinement into the methods. Formal, formalist, beliefs about literature. And now we have the different point of view of by the formalist. For example, literature is a special kind of language. It means that literature is a very particular kind of language, a special kind of language. Literature is primarily symbolic and metaphoric. Cannot paraphrase. We cannot paraphrase literature. It means that literature is a symbolic presentation or the metaphoric presentation, and we cannot paraphrase the same. Why? Because why? It is the special language that has been used to present uh, the history, a biography, social condition, political condition, religious condition of any country. Irony, paradox, and ambiguity are the measuring sticks of the great art. So these things which have been mentioned, irony, paradox, and ambiguity, are the measuring sticks of great art. Criticism can be objective, and the true meaning of text can be known objectively, and attempt to be scientific. As we have also discussed, means earlier in the classroom, that especially under the topic of artist as a critic, that criticism can be objective. Or criticism is objective type of thing. So by objective, we mean that whatever is being presented before you, you should focus your attention towards the piece of literature. So your approach must be objective one.
So yes.
Now see, Saad, I will never allow you again in the class because you have unmuted your mic. So you have disturbed. So these are the things which always create hindrances in the way of means the thoughts and expression and etc. For example, if you want to join the class and when I allow you, uh, then you open your mic and we are disturbed over here. So all of you are again suggested that please mute your mics when you join the class. So criticism can be objective, and the true meaning of the text can be known objectively. If you want to get the real message of means any piece of literature, then you must be objective one and attempt to be scientific. And this objective approach is called scientific approach. How? For example, for example, when you are in science lab, over there, if you are given any assignment to prepare ammonia gas or to means separate sand from means salt, over there, whatever results are before you, you are 100% objective in the result. So that's why the result of all the students are same. And we always compare our answers with the rest of the students. It means that our personal liking, disliking, our personal point of view, our personal opinions have nothing to do with the work of science or scientific work. It means that in scientific work, you will have to be objective, not subjective. So here, same is the case with means criticism. That in criticism, you must be you must be objective, and in order to make it scientific work. Objective means that, for example, throughout the world, your results will be accepted by each and every person. Please wait for only a minute that I may uh, means connect battery to computer. Okay, let's continue, please. So now see that not interpreted based on the reader's response to it. It means that you cannot interpret the same as per your own response as far as the criticism is concerned. But when you want to understand poetry, or when you want to understand any work of art, then over there you are allowed to means understand the same in the light of your background knowledge, in the light of your surroundings, and in the light of your society, in the light of your social life. That is something else. But as far, but when you look at any piece of literature, especially means in order to analyze it, then certainly you will not allow your personal liking, disliking, personal views, opinion, and etc. in criticism. And means here, Ransom has suggested us that we must be uh, objective in the matter. Authors stated our inferred intention. Inferred intention are no say. Inferred intention means that author at that moment might have kept in his mind the readers and his intention. That intention in the sense that for what he is reading, he is writing. So you may not means interpret the same. Are parallels between the text and historical contexts, such as author's life, biographical fallacy, socio-political climate, and etc. These are the subjective biases. So all these which have been mentioned over here, all these are subjective type of biases. So you will not allow them uh, to interfere in the work of criticism. Literary work is finished product, set off from history, biography, and reading process. So now see that literary work is certainly completed one. It is a completed process. Now it is before you, and it has nothing to do with the history, right? As in the beginning, we have discussed that on the one hand, you will have to look at the message. On the other hand, the poetic dictions and etc. And apart from that, you may not deviate your attention towards other things. Form and content cannot be separated. Okay, so these are the two sides of one coin. Form, so they cannot be separated. Form, in fact, is a meaning. So, through with the help of form, we get meaning, and form is effect, method. Look at the tensions, paradoxes, and ambiguities within the text. Show how they resolved and integrated problems. Every text builds on pretexts. Text has no meaning unless someone reads it. It means that you are the most important person who will give meaning to the text, especially in the light of your background knowledge. And as we have discussed earlier, and I give you example of flow, that for example, if you are no more competent and if you don't have background knowledge of all these things, then you will not be able to enjoy the taste of the piece of literature. Also, identifying great art is subjective. It means that when you identify the great work of art, it is your subjective approach. Assumptions. You can't know for sure what an author intended. So you means you will not be able to know the intentions of author, and an individual response is unstable and subjective. So when you look at the piece of literature from your own point of view, then you will not be able to understand it, especially in the light of your own experiences and etc. The work itself should be your focus. The purpose of this focus is to explain the work's organic uh, unity, how every feature, large and small, contributes to its meaning. Great literary works are marked by some kind of complexity as levels of meaning, oppositions, tensions, ironies, and ambiguities are unified. Practices. So here means you will find the examples over here, right? And whatever we have discussed, uh, uh, these examples will certainly clarify each and everything. Suppose when we learn the theories, and those theories are means sometimes difficult to understand, but when we go through the examples, we can easily understand those theories. Practices. Read closely. You can assume that everything is carefully calculated to contribute to the work's unity. It means that as we know very well that what is unity. Unity means one thing must be closely connected to first one. Figures of speech, and all of you being students of literature are well aware of the figures of speech. Point of view, point of view of poet, writer, diction, recurrent ideas or events, and etc. Determines what oppositions, tensions, ambiguities, and ironies are present in this work. Say how these various elements are unified. What idea holds them together means that how one idea follows the other. It means that there is a chain of ideas, and if you remove even a single idea from the poetry, then it will certainly create ambiguity. It will no more be very much clear. So here is certainly example, and here you will find three examples, and the last one is very very interesting, right? So here I think that uh, one example is green eggs and ham and new criticism. Let us take Dr. Uh, CSS green eggs and ham as an example and evaluate it as a new critics. So here, this is an example that you may go through this example, and you will come to know that how new criticism or the way of new criticism has been introduced. Now see that overall, you may go through the same yourselves, but overall, here there's only highlighted words over here: pursuit and persuasion. It means that in this piece of art, we have only one thing, that how to persuade others to do the things. Okay. For example, here is an example of green eggs and etc. There was a person who was offered green eggs and hams, but he didn't want to have it. But then afterwards, or with the after some times, he was agreed to have it. He was agreed to have it. So here, the difference in the length of their speech emphasized the protagonist's refusal to try to something new and make some almost a fleeting, mysterious character. While over here, this is in fact a story from the poem, poem, right? Are you listening to me, please?
Yes, sir, we are listening.
Okay,
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
we are
okay.
listening.
Let us move forward and to the last example, and here you will find a good example. New critical reading of There is a Girl Inside, right? There's a girl inside. There's a girl inside. There's a girl inside. She is ready as a wolf. She will not walk away and leave these bones to an old woman. She is a green tree in the forest of kindling. She is a green girl in a used poet. She has waited patience as none for the second coming. It means that nuns, you know very well, nuns are those who have led their lives for the sake of religion, and especially in Christianity, you will find them in the church by wearing white dresses. white dresses, and they certainly dedicate their lives for the sake of religion. So they say they means leave the society for the religion. Overall, we can say like this. Or when she can break through gray hairs into the blossom, and her lovers will harvest honey and dime, and the woods will be wild with the damn wonder of it. So now see that this is the piece of literature, and oh here, this is the poem. The poem's title, There is a Girl Inside, right? Tells us that the speaker is an old woman who still feels young and vital inside. Now see, here, here, uh, there is a girl inside. There's a girl inside means there is a child inside of old man, right? So we know that central tension in the poem is probably the tension between youth and age, means young man and old man, between what the speaker feels like on the side, feels like on the inside, and what she looks like on the outside. So there are two feelings at the same moment: the feeling, inward feelings and outward feelings. We can see that this tension structures the poem as a whole through the alternation of the language of youthful vitality with the language of aging and decay. So now see, man is between, uh, means the age and destruction. If you want to be a girl, it means that you want to start your life again. If you have become old, you are moving forward towards the destruction or decay. In the poem, the words girl, ready, means sexually free or confident. It means that the girls are certainly innocent when they are at their stages, and they are free from each and everything. So now see, the best example of the same is if you go back into your past life, you will find that how did you enjoy each and everything over there. There means in that period of time, you were free from all type of needs of life, or whatever you got in those days, you enjoyed it, and you enjoyed each and everything. You were free from the luxuries of life and uh, uh, and best clothes and rich food and etc. and other things, and you were very much confident, and you were means happy, and you enjoyed those joyful days of your life. The narrative dimensions of the poem reveals an old woman dreaming about the miraculous transformation, the second coming of youth. Despite her bones and gray hairs, it means that now she dreams to become a girl again. In fact, she has become very old, and now her hairs uh, means have her hairs have turned gray, and her bones have become very weak. But in spite of all that, she wants to be girl again. She wants to be very young again. For what? In order to enjoy her life as she enjoyed in early childhood. Thus, we might hypothesize that theme of the poem probably involves the inconsistency of eternal youth. Inconsist- Inconsistency of eternal youth. Eternal youth means you want to be young forever. You want to be young forever. As you know very well that once Prophet, peace be upon him, told old woman that she will not enter the paradise. And she was surprised. And she again asked the question from Prophet, peace be upon him. And Prophet, peace be upon him, uh, 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 means replied that when she will enter heaven, she will be quite young, not old. Old people will not be in paradise, right? So she will again become young to be entered paradise. To discover the specific nature of the theme and to understand how the poem establishes it, we need a closely examine the poem formal elements. It means that the poem is before you, and here we have means a piece of the poem. And when you go through even such type of lines and afterwards the explanation of it, then you will find that how the message of the poem have has been received, and how means we are in a position to follow the formal criticism or formalism or the new criticism, right? So now see, I'm sure that you might have got the means a message regarding the new criticism and the idea which has been put forward by John Crow Ransom. And then afterwards, after 5 minutes or 10 minutes, I'll continue my class, and we will certainly try our level best to understand it in some other way with the help of PowerPoint presentations, and over there we will come to know that what is social criticism, and what are other means ways to criticize the things, or to come up with the new ideas over here, how to understand the criticism, and what are the some other ways, and how many forms of criticism are there, right? So if any one of you is means not quite clear, that he or she let me know, that I may answer your questions, please. But as far as means I have been asked that when presentation will again take place, then I have told Kainat, I think early in the morning, she sent me message that she wants to shed light, especially on chapter number 9. Okay, so before that, I have also means asked other students who are certainly in a position to present themselves in the position. I mean that those students of your class who are very much means hardworking, and they know uh, the importance of things, and they will certainly get themselves prepared for presentations, and we will certainly complete this topic, wall stone crafts, vindication of rights of women, right? So if anyone of you want to ask me a question, then please let me know, and then we will get 5 minutes, 10 minutes break, and we'll continue the same. G, are you listening to me?
Yes, sir. Sir, we are quite clear about the topic.
Yes, sir, we are listening you.
Okay, sir.
Okay. So is there anyone else who may have question? And I will certainly send you this lecture, and I try my level best to send you on WhatsApp as well, that at least you may listen it again in order to have the ideas very clear. And I have always tried my level best not to means create problems, but solve your problems. So I also expect from you that you should also do the same. And whenever I give you any assignment, I may give you any type of means work, then you may come up with the positive points and with the positive replies. And you may not lag behind in all these things. Why? Because I strongly dislike such type of things. So okay, we are going to means again meet after 10 minutes.